The question is, how are logistics at an airport influenced by the fuel that is carried on board? How will storage and transport of hydrogen be arranged? This also is a challenge for the airports. And I would like to welcome on stage, and please give her a warm applause, Meiltje de Groot, CEO Groningen Airport.
Airbus is trying to hijack all your future students that you are planning to get an interesting proposal to work for the LVNL. So
yeah, but I have my cards here.
Okay, so there's some compensation for that. Well, I just wanted to say to students, it's really nice to be here. Thank you very much. One little point of command is on the GEA, G-A-E-A. It's Groningen Airport Eelde, so you have to change the 2 letters. At home, my children always mention the airport like gay. Groningen Airport Eelde is a short name for gay, so it's really funny. Well, I would like to take you in the world of the airports, because there was a lot of talk about how does that work at the airports. Victor told us about green hydrogen, that it should be green, not grey or whatever. And and then we had a question, perhaps I can answer that later, from somebody in the audience about airports. How does it work? So I will take you in the world of airports, which is also a very challenging development. We have a lot of challenging developments coming on our future. But of course, because I'm the chairman of Groningen Airport Eelde, but I'm also the chairman of the Dutch Association of Airports. So first, to start with that, we work together a lot. So we are, Groningen Airport Eelde is the smallest of the 5 big airports in the Netherlands, with Schiphol, of course, as the big frog in the kruiwagen, zoals we call it in Holland. But it's really interesting how we work together. We work together on the operation, we work together on strategy, we work together as a system of airports, but we also work together on sustainable aviation. And we work together really for a long time. And we see that it's especially sustainable aviation which became a more prominent subject in the last few years. So I would like to show you something about Groningen Airport Eelde, which is the first hydrogen valley airport. As you probably know, wait, we have to go back. Well, he practiced a lot on his pronunciation of Groningen Airport Eelde. But this is an important guy within Europe for the hydrogen development. I think some of the people just talked about that. And we are very proud that we are in the first hydrogen valley. Of course, you know all about the problems that Groningen is attending at the moment. Yesterday, the day before yesterday, publication of the report, the investigation of the Commission on the gas winning in the northern part of Holland. And yesterday, of course, the person from the province of Groningen talking about how we could compensate this. And one of the main important issues in that is to make sure that we will have green, sustainable fuels in the future. And of course, the northern part of Holland was the gas supplier of the Netherlands and of Europe. And now we're transforming it to the hydrogen, green hydrogen valley for Europe. It's important because there are a few companies working on this subject. It's a GasUnie, it's RWE, it's Engine, but it's also Seaport that are trying to make a future, make the environment possible to make this happen. And we, of course, are in the Hydrogen Valley, so it's logical to be the Hydrogen Valley Airport. I will show you some practical examples of that. It's not only about a vision on the future. Of course, we need to have that, and you just saw it. But we also have some practical projects going on. So this is the Hydrogen Valley. You also see the backbone, which is, of course, very important because on wind, they're developing a very large development of wind on sea. And all the wind on sea has to come to land. And we hopefully 1/3 of the wind will come on land in Groningen. And you can see the gas pipes are still there because the GasUnie has already developed that and they're transforming it to the hydrogen backbone. Okay, we have a Hydrogen Valley Airport. What does that mean? We have a 22 megawatt solar park, which is really a special thing in Europe at the moment. There are some airports at the moment planning also a solar park, but this solar park this big has never been seen in an active airport. So one time I was at my desk and there were some people from the Swedish government who looked at the picture of the solar park behind me on the screen, and then they said, "Oh, this is a nice artist impression." Well, I said, "It's real." And they didn't believe it because they were talking about how is this possible? We have a lot of obstacle clearances, problems. How about regulations? But we all fixed that. We all did all these safety assessments. So it's there since 2019. And from that point, we thought it was an end of a development, but it's a start of a new one. So you can see it's a solar park, and we're trying to develop it to a storage of hydrogen. We're going to use the hydrogen, but we're also going to have some other projects in place. First of all, we're working together with a lot of parties in the northern part of Holland, but also with the European Union. So we're financed partly by the European Union, but also partly by local government, like the province of Groningen or Drenthe. And Demcon is developing an electrolyzer which is more innovative and sustainable. And it will be in a demonstrator project in the end of 2023. And it will produce hydrogen in a small way, but this will be scaled up. So it's financed also by the EFRO European funding. And working together with a lot of smaller companies, also in Friesland. Redstack is a small company. There in the northern part of Holland a lot of smaller MKB-bedrijven, smaller companies. So the second one is the first ground power unit on hydrogen. And we are planning to finish that together with Holthausen, which is the company who's transforming it, but also with a lot of students from Noorderpoort, which is a lot of students are working at the ground power unit, and they're transforming it. It will be finished in 2 months. And then it will really be working on hydrogen with no emissions. And as you know, probably know, at Schiphol there are 200 of those ground power units on diesel, and they're there all day powering the aircraft if the engine is down. So it's really an interesting transformation, because there are already some ground power units on electricity, on batteries, but this is not a very forceful solution. So this one is the first one. It will be opened in 2 months, I expect. So it's a nice example of concrete projects that we're working on. And then we will have Total Energies building hydrogen filling station. It's planned on the border of land and air side. And as you know, there are a lot of discussions about using hydrogen on air side. But we're trying to find out, together with them and together with the government, how we can make this happen. So it's really an experiment, but we also use, because of the demand for the hydrogen in the northern part of Holland is also very strong, because the whole city, the buses are driving on hydrogen. As the deputy governmental person said from Groningen, that we also will have a hydrogen train. So there is a lot of possibilities to have clients, customers for the hydrogen. So this is the interesting one. And the last one I would focus on is the fact that we are building a battery pack, a big one. And we're going to use that to make sure that the sun, the electricity is stored. We have a big cable also, but we can store it in a battery. And we will not only use it to settle demand and supply, but we will also use it as an emergency power generator. At the moment, at airports, you have a lot of generators, all to make sure that when the power is off, that you have a quick restart. And this is diesel, so we have to be in 7 seconds, you have to be up and running again, because it's very dangerous if the aircraft is landing and all the lights go out. So you have to be in 7 seconds, you have to be up and running again. But this is not a very good way with working with a diesel generator, because we have to test it every month, and it gives a lot of effects on the environment. So we are working on a battery which can also be used as an energy power generator. And we are going to have partners with it, and they are also going to make sure that it can be used on an airport. So key of all this is working together with partners. We are a small airport. We have about 70 people working with us. And of the 70 people, there are about 50 operational people. So we're really focusing on working together with partners. And the partners can be big companies like RWE or Shell, but also smaller companies in the region. So I think it's an important thing. I think that some other of the speakers already said that as well, to work together with companies and governments in your region and in the country. So, just in time.
Yeah, you did a good job. Thank you for your inspirational story at Groningen. Are there any questions? Yes, there are.
Is there some light and we can... great.
Thank you very much. I really like the action-oriented approach you have at Eelde. But this solution really seems bespoke to Eelde Airport. So my question is, what would be the greatest challenges to expand this to other airports, which, for example, do not have an existing gas infrastructure? Could you go into that?
Well, it was earlier said that if you have an aircraft developed and you fly from one airport to the other airport, you need to refuel it on both airports. So we have to make it possible to have a refueling on hydrogen, but also the battery recharging is interesting subject, because how are you going to fix that? Because if you put your car on to recharge it, it will take sometimes half an hour, which is not a smart logistic subject on an airport. So we really are going to work on that. So on the electric subject, we're working together with all the airports in a project which is named Power Up, which is interesting also for students to join. Sorry, Meiltje. But I think there are a lot of challenges. But our motivation is to put little steps to the future and to start with projects, just development projects. And this one with the ground power unit, which is a ground power unit which is owned by KLM Equipment Services, is a first start. So just start, and yeah, we go from there, you know. And we will find a lot of discussions about certification, about everything, but just start and find out.
Okay.
That's how we work.
Hi, I agree, really cool presentation. I'm really happy to see the concrete steps that have been taken and are being taken. I have a question about your current infrastructure's ability to, do you have any facilities for liquefaction of hydrogen? Since most likely hydrogen-powered aircraft will be powered by liquid hydrogen. Do you have that in place? And another thing is, how flexible is your hydrogen production? Do they need a constant stream of electricity to function, the electrolyzers, or is it possible for that to fluctuate?
Well, we produce, it's not liquid hydrogen, of course, but we are working together with Engie and also with seaports and also with the GasUnie, because they have a pipeline laying in the northern part of Holland. And we are getting a little pipe from their pipeline to our airport. And then we get the bulk of the hydrogen, and we can put a liquefier on our premises to make the hydrogen liquid. So we're in thinking about the concept at the moment with the big companies, how we can we arrange this? Because there are some bigger companies, just Airbus was talking, but also other ones, I'm not going to tell their names, but they're really interested in testing on this airport. So we need this supply of hydrogen and of course liquid hydrogen for the future. So we're working at the moment as developing the concept, and after that we're going to just organize it. Don't make it too difficult, just make it small and make it simple.
Okay, thanks.
Yes.
Are there more questions?
Henry, oh, and there was somebody over there.
Thank you very much, Meiltje. I was wondering, you also speak on behalf of all the Dutch airports, and now you are telling what's happening in Groningen, but as you know, also in Rotterdam Airport, essentially exactly the same things are going on. So how is the relationship between what's going on in that part of our small country and what's going on here?
Well, we work together, especially with RIA. We have a kind of, RIA is the innovation airport. And we try to work together as much as possible. Last month, they came over to Groningen. And we exchange ideas and we try to work together. So if we have later on the ground power units on hydrogen, they're most welcome. And we probably will lend it to them to try it on Rotterdam or even at Schiphol.
But regarding the infrastructure, I think a lot of things can be learned from each other. Because here in Rotterdam we have the harbor. They also want to be an entrance point
also
for hydrogen. So I may hope that this is well connected and that we are not duplicating things.
No, we're working together and we have a lot of contact with each other. So, but every airport is working with its region and its regional partners as well. So I think this is also important because an airport has to have a kind of a license to operate, and it's very important that your region likes you as an airport and you contribute to the region. And that's why we have our own partners, but we share our knowledge, and the other way around, it's the same. So we just develop and we share the knowledge, not only with Rotterdam, but also with Schiphol and with other airports. So I think that's because we are a small country and we are 5 big airports working together, very, very close.
think there was a question over there.
He doesn't dare to throw it anymore. Oh, there he is.
Hi, thank you so much for the presentation. I had a short question about the battery pack and the solar park, because I was wondering how much the solar park can actually provide and how efficient would the battery packs be in order to store energy.
So mainly we don't store the energy in the battery packs because mainly there's a big cable going to supply 2,200 households of energy. So we just use the energy in the region. And there's a partner which we work together with who is arranging all that. But we're trying to a part of the energy we're going to store in the batteries. We're not doing that yet, but we're in the discussion with GroenLeven, which developed the solar park as well. And this will be a next step in the development. So then we will have our own storage in hydrogen, but also in battery packs on the airport. And the advantage of the battery packs is that we can use it as for the operation as well of the airport. So we're just trying how it works and how we can use it. We're making little steps to develop several projects and several concepts. We just try it.
Okay, thank you.
Once again, I want to thank you for the presentation. I really like the material. I do want to ask, there's an on-site electrolysis plant, and you also said that bulk of the hydrogen will be taken from pipelines, which makes sense. But then what would be the advantage of having the on-site electrolyzer? What role would it play in the airport?
Well, I think that in the geopolitics of today, it's important to have multiple different sources. One of the local sources, which can be also used for the local use of our airports. And on the other hand, we want to have enough supply for future aircraft. So we need more hydrogen, we need more electricity, we need more green electricity in the future. But at the moment, we have enough with our own operations, and there are not a lot of electric aircraft as well. So our need is less, But we're planning for the future, and that's why we try to connect to the backbone of the Gasunie to have the future supply arranged as well.
There's a question here.
Oops.
That was good.
They're great throwers.
Yeah, okay. Since you have quite a large solar array on site, I was wondering whether you just pump that straight into the batteries, or do you also use that when you have peaks that need to be smoothed out? Do you also use that for your electrolyzers, since those don't really need...
Yeah, that's the future plan, because otherwise in the daytime you have sun, but in the nighttime you can use the electrolyzer by the batteries as well. Another advantage is there are a lot of houses in the neighborhood who have solar on their roofs. But in the future, they're not longer subsidized, so they will lose money, or how do you call it? They cannot give it back to the energy company. So we plan to have it sent to us, and then we can store it, and they can have a better price.
Yes,
so I think it's also a community thing. It's important for airports to be in the community, and this is also an advantage for the people living in our area.
Well, thank you, Meiltje, and thank you for the presentation. You can stay here, because we're moving on to the panel.